Hello. Hello, and welcome to Comedy Craft, where craft beers on draft and talking the craft of comedy. We're coming to you live from the D.C. Comedy Loft here in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. And as always, I'm your host, Haywood Turnipseed Jr. Tonight's guests with me are the amazing comedy duo. We have the Sklar Brothers.
Thank you. Yeah,
Randy and Jason.
Thank you.
Woo. Jason has the glasses. That's a reminder to self.
Randy's dandy. Jason's eyesight is failing.
I have a set of twin cousins, so I always have to look for distinguishing marks, right?
Yeah,
so I looked
man,
at the Apple Watch and was like, okay, that's Randy. Jason is the one with the nice tan.
So, but the truth of the matter is, then you got to remember who has the distinguishing features. Because I know twins, and I'm like, I know the distinguishing feature, but I forgot who that belongs to. Hard. Who does it belong to?
Very hard.
It's difficult. And we're talking to distinguished gentlemen right here, right now, as we discuss what comedy and craft brews. So we want to thank these gentlemen for taking time after their show. They popped in on the DC Comedy Loft to do a show, and they actually decided to come downstairs and talk to us. Thank you to our Mad Scientist Seth for hooking that up.
Thank you.
All right, so you guys have been show tonight. How was it?
So fun.
Oh, I loved it.
That room's amazing. It feels like it's been around for 100 years. It's like got that old feel.
Yeah.
I love
Crowd's right up on you.
Yeah.
Ceilings are low. We felt very connected to that.
It was amazing because it was great to see what of our bits worked. You know, because we've been working on the West Coast a lot and in the Midwest a lot. Haven't been back East, but it's funny to see what of this set is resonating with an East Coast audience. And some of it was different than, we got bigger laughs on certain things that we don't normally get on the West Coast. Like it's part of like setups and stuff. But it was cool. Great audience, smart.
Right.
Always smart in DC.
That's what people love about DC, man. Really smart audience, really wonky
They get everything.
crowds.
They get
smart, aware, and like super diverse crowd coming out to see comedy.
Yeah, that's what I love too. Great mix of people, and that's once you can hit everybody, that's when it's all perfect.
Oh man, that's dope. That's dope. So to our smart listening audience, we want to let you guys know, for the folks who are tuning in right now, how this show works. What we do is we have 4 beers that we drink from. We let our guests name them after they sip them, and while we discuss the craft of comedy, we drink craft beers.
I love it.
Pretty simple.
I'm in.
In?
In. Let's do it. I know we got something good coming
Let's
over.
get it. Let's get it.
Let's
So you
do it.
guys got your start actually on the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken. Well, did you guys get started? Let's do a little bit of history.
I would say
St. Louis.
St. Louis. We started doing comedy in St. Louis when we were really young. Then went to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, started doing comedy in Ann Arbor, and then in Detroit.
Okay.
And then after college, graduated and moved to New York. So you're right. East Coast is where we started in earnest. This is where we're going to do it. And we luckily came up in New York at a time when, in mid-'90s, it was right after the huge comedy boom of the '80s and early '90s. And what started to form were these alternative comedy rooms where they weren't really, it's kind of what everybody's trying to achieve now. So they weren't really old school comedy clubs. They were performance spaces.
They were mics. I mean, that's what they were, but no one was calling them that back then. They were saying these are alternative rooms. What were they alternatives to? They were alternatives to the comedy clubs. Because the comedy clubs were, 12 to 20 guys, and it was mostly dudes, who could do it, right? And that was it. And then all of a sudden, there was just new talent and new people wanting to do stuff where, if we walked on stage, it wasn't going to be twin jokes for the whole. If you saw our set tonight, we talk about being twins in some moments, and we show what that relationship is like, but we don't want to make every joke about it. And that's what the alternative movement was like. We want to surprise you. We want to be unpredictable. We want to shock people a little bit.
Because you came with what people expected, you would get no credit in those rooms. And it's great. So that taught us how to write and just be funny, and also then use the fact that we were twins to make it unique.
Right, so you hone the art of comedy, actually working on being funny, and then plug in the stuff ancillary stuff that goes along with that.
That's right. And do the things then make it a Sklar Brothers set that only we could do.
Yeah.
But, you got to, it takes a long time to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
But we weren't coming in at the beginning going we got to write a whole bunch of twin stuff. We're the twin comedians. Yes. Maybe we should have done that. Maybe we would have been more successful.
I another set of twins that do comedy, the Leatherberries. If you guys,
we've heard of them.
yeah. Those guys in the Lucas Bros.
Lucas Brothers.
Those guys are great.
The best compliment we ever got from the Lucas Brothers is that they saw what we were doing because they're probably about 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
Saw what we were doing and they were like, "Oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
That's cool."
Yeah.
And I feel like theirs is their own style and it's different than ours, but there are things about what they do that we feel like is connected to what we do, and that made us feel good because there was no roadmap for us.
Right.
Nobody was like, "This is how you do it this way." We just were like, "This is how we want to do it."
Right. Awesome. That's awesome, man. So yeah, you guys are doing it. It's weird to me to talk to you guys because I'm a fan. From back when I watched Department 2F.
Oh my God!
I know, I go back that far.
Wow, beautiful.
I remember seeing these guys and going, "These cats are interesting," and then going, "Oh, these cats are funny," And then that's just exactly what you guys are talking about. Like people go, "Okay, what's happening?" And then we realize that we're watching a show. We're watching people put together their acting. With that, you guys had some amazing talent on that show.
Oh my God! Zach Galifianakis was a regular player. Stephen Colbert did the first episode.
You guys
Godfrey was unbelievable on that show. Here's Jeff Ross, Bill Burr. Who else did stand-up?
Here are the stand-ups. That's the stand-ups on the show. Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Jim Norton.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, Arj Barker. These are unbelievable.
Like killers. Like every single one. Like heavy hitters. At the time, they were up and coming and they were great. But like we knew we were doing something special with cool talent on that show. It just didn't get its shot.
It was one season. We loved it, though. I mean,
it was a season that I enjoyed as somebody who watched that stuff. I mean, you guys came on the heels of, I don't even want to call it alternative because it was kind of comedy that cats like me dug. It was just different from standard stand-up.
Right.
I mean, we grew up with watching Comic Strip Live.
Right.
Of course, we grew up watching, and then I'm a Def Jam. I went to Def Jam University, so I watched tons
we
of
watched that too. We watched that too.
But then seeing this is like, okay, wow, and this leads to what we have now, which is, like you guys, it was all dudes. But now it's a plethora of people who are actually telling their different stories.
That's what I love.
You know what I mean? You have young Jewish kids from St. Louis.
Right.
And now you guys are telling your story, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I'm from the Midwest myself. I'm from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
So I see you cats, and I'm like, oh, I can live my life, tell my story, and it can be funny.
That's great.
And, I could have locks and be Muslim and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, of course, though. But I mean, for me, for us, as we're watching someone, if we see someone who's like, let's say it's like a trans person from Brooklyn who grew up in Brooklyn telling their story, that's fine. Like in our minds, we're like, okay, I want to see that and I'm curious and I'm interested. But as the comedian in me is like, what's the weird little thing that you're putting into this bit that's going to make me laugh? As a comedian, obviously your story is fascinating and it's unique and it needs to be heard.
And how do you
make us laugh in the way that you tickle the funny thing and the funny bone inside of us?
Right.
Because if we can do that, if you can do that, then I'm yours forever. I don't care who you are, where you come from, what you look like. If you do that little thing, if you like add 9 tags to a joke when you should have stopped at 4, we're yours forever.
Yeah. That's relating, right? That's the relatability part.
Well, that's the thing where you go, oh, that was it. You did it. Like someone
else.
That's
the thing where you're like, oh, we're all comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I mean, what's crazy? I was sitting in synagogue 2 days ago. Okay. For Yom Kippur, like the
happy holiday.
Thank you. Most serious of the Jewish holidays.
Day of Atonement for those who don't know.
Day of Atonement. If you do anything wrong, you have to apologize to people. That's what I love. It's like, you can't just be like, someone's going to take care of it.
Yeah, you don't just send it up to God and then be like, hey, make sure that email gets out to all the people I screwed over this year.
You CC that guy I fucked over, right? Anyway, so instead,
it's not even a text. It's like you got to show up.
You got to show up and FaceTime the people.
Right.
But it was our rabbi who's our rabbi who's this actually really cool young person. It'd be like if our friend was a rabbi. She's like very well respected in the world as like one of the greatest, foremost thinkers. She was talking about how hard it is to how hard it is even within the Jewish religion to get the right-wing Jews who want to build settlements in Jerusalem to even come together with the left-wingers like us who live out on the West Coast who are like, we just need to be interfaith, make sure that everybody's happy and make sure we all living together. And that's and so like even just getting those people together, and all I could think in my brain the whole time she was doing it, it was like, I want to do a comedy tour with one of our like Muslim friend comedians and do like and go around and do gigs at like Arab cultural centers and synagogues.
Yes.
And I want to go into a city and or do it at one place where you invite both populations to sit together. And then people are laughing at that, right? I want to set
Muslim
that tour
Mazel
up.
Comedy.
That's what I'm talking about.
The Muslim Mazel Comedy Show.
I want to put it together.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. That would be so much fun. You do that. They do 45 minutes. We do 45. Is that a great idea?
And then maybe like a little mini podcast
in the middle, or we answer questions afterwards. How great would that be?
Amazing.
All right.
That would be amazing.
Right? Is that a good idea? All right. Anyway, but you talk about that, but it's born out of the same thing that you were saying, which was
uniqueness,
and we're all comedy. We're all comedians. So I see a friend of ours on stage who comes from a background very different from ours. You know, you see Maz Jabrani comes from his background, and his stuff is just funny because he's funny. He's a funny dude.
Right.
Like a white dude who grew up in like super country and like he's being funny. I'm like, that's just, you're funny.
John Reap makes us
laugh.
Like, it doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
And Chappelle makes me laugh. And like, why? But Chappelle doesn't just make me laugh because he's huge and famous. He makes me laugh because he does 3 ridiculous Chappelle things that were like, that's a Chappelle joke, where he does not stop, or he misled you and he tricked you into this thinking one way. And I'm like, I love it because it's comedy. That's a joke. He wrote a joke.
That's the craft.
That is the craft.
That is the craft.
Amen.
And now we will have our first craft beer of the evening. We'll talk to our server, Shells. Hey, Shells.
Hey, Shells.
How you guys doing?
We're good.
All right.
So thank you.
And we have our first craft beer of the evening.
What are we drinking, Shells?
Tonight our first beer is the Francis Carr Hefeweiss beer.
Nice.
It has a ABV of 5%.
Okay.
And it has notes of clove and banana and
clove, banana.
lemon zest. I'm sorry.
Lemon zest.
Smells good.
Hefeweiss. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Mazel.
Cheers. All right, man. And here we go. Ooh, that's good. See, this hits me in all the spots.
Does it?
I can taste the banana in it. Are you kidding me? It's so good.
I love it because it's refreshing, and it's the kind of beer I would reach for after a set of comedy.
So that's it. So do you feel that way? Do you do that when you come on stage? You like, I need one just to bring me down.
Yeah, this is after hours.
This is
so,
you
we
drink
just
a little
did
bit. Our show, and we're coming right back.
Well, also like when
and this is a nice chill. Like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna sell some merch, do some things.
Yeah.
Kind of like winding down before you get on home.
By the way,
but also like you have 3 kids. You have 3 little kids. You got a life at home, right?
You can't do it as hard as you did pre them.
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't do it at that point.
But also there's this.
I do.
You know, all too well.
But the point is that like
it's almost like you get on stage and you're not. To say a superhero is like too grandiose, but like you're an alter ego of yourself a little bit.
Right.
You're like the biggest version of yourself because you got to be big and you got to, or you have to be brave, or if you're going to you're taking risks. Like if you're trying a new bit out.
Yes.
Think of all the people who walk around this world and they just get in their jobs and they know what they do and they do the same thing over and over again for 40 years.
Yeah.
If you're a comedian, you go, I'm trying something on stage that might fail. I'm going to say something. I'm risking so much on stage. Yeah. So you have like all your synapses are firing and your brain is on fire and you walk off stage and then it's like the beer in a weird way like brings you back down so you can like communicate in the real world again.
Exactly. I mean, you have your feet on the ground and our head in the clouds, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how we walk around on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we have, 24 hours in a day, and it's 23 hours that we're waiting to go do what it is that we do, that we enjoy. Yes. That's part of what I love about this craft is because, talking to people who I'm like, could I have a day job? And it's funny that you use superhero terms because I have my Clark Kent and I have my Superman.
That's right.
So it's just like I go to work and I got to do my thing and then, and get what I got to get. And then I go out and practice. And my kid is always like, yo, where are you going? Work. And it's comedy and we're enjoying it. But people don't realize what we have to go through to craft.
That's right.
Or to come up.
That's right.
With material. Have you guys ever worked separate? I know you guys work as a duo.
Yes, we have done some separate stuff. Like Jay was shooting a pilot for something, and we got hired to do this thing at the University of Michigan for the University of Michigan, where we wrote a bunch of jokes for this early signing day, National Letter of Intent signing day.
That's big now, right?
It was in front of 4,000 people, and they did it on Jeter's site, so it was broadcast live and streaming, so it was big. So then he booked this thing, and he couldn't do it, and I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and do it. And by the way, these are jokes that we've never done in front of an audience before, so you don't even know if they work.
I was nervous for you.
So he watched the stream, and I got like my first couple of jokes hit, and I was like, "Oh, this is great."
I got it. I don't need this guy anymore.
I got it. I don't need him. Get out of here.
Speaking of, I do have to go be with my kids. That drink was awesome, and I thank you for doing this.
It's probably my favorite Hefeweizen that I've had.
So let me ask you,
the banana, so good.
What would you name this beer?
Ooh, what would I name this beer?
What would you name it?
Ooh, So it is a German beer, and we are Jews.
I thought of that.
So there is that moment. So do you call it Jewish guilt? Do you call it Argentina 101?
I was going to call it Bananas in the Attic.
And there we have it. Bananas in the attic.
German.
Walk quietly.
Yes, that's right. Write a diary about how much you love it.
That's right.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Rainey's going to stay.
No, I know Rand's going to stay, but what I want to say real quick is I thank you guys for naming the first beer, and to our listening audience, we will be right back. Do you love podcasts but just haven't found the show for you? Well, you're in luck. Here at Mad Scientist Media, we're coming out with amazing content throughout the month. Take a look to see what we have coming up at our website, msm.fm. That's msm.fm for Mad Scientist Media! Hello, welcome back to Comedy Craft, where today we are talking with a Sklar brother. Jason had to roll, so we now have Randy.
I'm here.
This is why he's the favorite.
That's right.
This is why he's the favorite son. And we have their feature for this the pop-up show that we did. Nate Abshire from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
It's me.
How you doing, Nate?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm awesome, man. I'm awesome. Nate we're going to be drinking craft beers and talking the craft of comedy.
I mean, Nate's great. Nate's
great.
Nate, we met in Minneapolis. He was paired up with us. He was hosting with us at the time.
Nice.
But like when we came back the next time, we're like, this dude should be featuring.
Yeah.
Like we were like, he should be featuring for us. And so he featured for us at the Varsity Theater. That was maybe the first time he featured for us.
Yeah, I think so.
And then back at Acme again.
Oh, nice.
I think you featured for us. But then we brought you on the road
sense.
to other places too. Like he's featured for us in other cities. And I mean, he's just a great set. You know, when you try and find that flow of who's the right person to set you up.
Yeah.
And I feel like he gets the crowd just totally ready to see what we're about to do. And always, I mean, this is a mark of a great feature act, is like afterwards when people are coming through the merch line, they come up, stop talking to us and go over to him to tell him how great his set is. That happens a lot.
Nate,
I mean,
how's that?
It's the easy spot. You know,
it's a good spot.
It's a good spot, but it's also like being the third in the battle lineup. You got, you know what I mean? You really, either you're going to, if everyone has gotten out, either you can keep it going, or you can mess it up.
Kill the momentum.
But
which he does.
Sounds like you do pretty well.
Yeah, it goes all right.
That's how you know he's good.
He won't say it, but he's a phenomenal comedian with great material and does, again, a great job setting up. The other great thing about Nate is that we'll pitch him jokes like in between. Like we'll be like, hey, try this or try that. Or like, hey, what do you think of this and what do you think of that? And he will go up at the next show and try it. I always love people who are like, they will just try it in the next in the horse
It's
bit.
really uncommon. Yeah, you guys wrote that. I mean, you guys gave me a tag for that does really well. But most of the time I've found comedians never do the tags you give them.
Right.
Because it's like, I think part of it's like admitting defeat
On some level, we're like, I don't know. We've been given some great tags, and we have given great tags.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
In the world of the universe of comedy,
I understand what you mean. Though. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But if someone just gives it to you, I'm like, Neil Brennan gave us a tag that is one of the best. We get such good response in our thing, and I'm not ashamed to do it because we gave him a tag.
Right.
And other
Right.
people in certain times, it's just the comedy universe.
Right.
You give it out there, and it comes back.
It comes back to you.
It's like, but to me, normally when I give someone a tag, they won't do it like at that show.
Right.
But then a month later, you'll be like,
like,
"Oh, you started doing the tag. Interesting.
They don't have a choice.
When I'm not around, it's good enough, huh?"
Well, I think it's that thing that we all say, like, why didn't I think of that? Especially when I'm looking at other comedians, I'm like, I never saw it that way. But it's a part of what I appreciate about seeing other comedians and looking at other comedians and getting that point of view going. It's cool that I didn't see it that way.
Right.
It helps me continue to develop how I see what I see.
Sometimes
I need to
can't.
keep pushing for something.
Right, yeah. Sometimes you're like, this is the way I built this bit, and it feels like it goes this way, but someone from the outside is like, no, I thought you were going to go here.
Yeah.
I thought you were building
Yeah.
it. You think you're building it this way, and
Yeah.
I heard it going this way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think also, like, it's way easier to see the mechanics of someone else's jokes because you're not living inside of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's like the armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah.
Well, but you have to have somebody, and
Yes.
this is a really important thing, especially when you go on the road. What we've realized going on the road, if we're going to go away from our families,
Yes.
we're going to spend time away from people,
Yes.
and we're going to be, and traveling is not easy and all that stuff. We have to be around people that we like and we like hanging out with. That's everything,
Amen
man.
to that.
I mean, you're like, I want to enjoy myself. I want
Right.
to be with friends. I want to be doing shows with people that we really like, and so
I'm the opposite. I like hanging out with real bummers because then when you go home, you're like, this is nice.
So I got friends in low places. Speaking of friends in low places, I think we're ready for that second
Let's
beer.
do that second beer.
Well, we can have that second beer. We're talking to our mad scientist said is like, no, because we got to continue with the segment, but we will continue with the segment and have our second beer. So, Shells, can you please provide for us our second beer?
Thank you.
Because this is beer talk that we're having.
Oh my God! First of all, I love the glass
I
itself.
love the mini goblet.
Yeah, it's
style.
like the mini
Gobble, gobble,
snifter,
gobble.
the tiny snifter. All right, Shells, you gotta tell me what we're about to put inside.
This
of
looks
it.
like Tyrion Lannister's goblet.
Okay, well, the next beer is the Vossen Blood Orange Otter.
nice.
It's a Goza, which is a fruited sour beer. It has a ABV of 5.1, and it's very high in blood orange and tangerine,
Great.
and low in notes of coriander.
Coriander.
I'm
blood
hearing you,
orange.
Shells. Let's
That's
do
nice.
this. You ready? Cheers.
Cheers.
Boom,
Cheers.
Boom.
Cheers.
Boom. Boom.
Nate, you driving, so don't drink so much.
Okay, this is unbelievable.
That's really good.
This doesn't even taste like beer.
It tastes like a mimosa.
It does not taste like beer.
Doesn't it?
It does.
tastes like
It's
a
a beer
mimosa.
It's like a beer
Mimosa,
mosa.
there
This
we go.
is what they
Is that what we're
drink
calling
on
this?
Saturday or Sunday brunches.
That's okay.
Do they brunch in LA? Like?
They do.
Do they brunch in Minneapolis?
Do they brunch in LA? That
Do
is-
they brunch in LA? They
Brunching is
fucking
a-
invented it, man.
Brunch is a career in LA. You put that under special skills on your resume.
They have
'Cause brunch these days become
24-hour
a
brunch
thing.
restaurants.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota. Brunch?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Minneapolis
Yeah, it's
is
very
great for
popular.
the late night eats too. Like an
Really?
Embers late night.
One of my favorite restaurants when they first opened, it's like a French, like high-class restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
But they serve, when they first opened, they served till 1 in the morning.
Oh yeah, see that's good.
It was amazing.
Escar, go get it.
Have you ever had escargot, by the
Oh,
way?
yes.
Have you ever had it?
I have not.
So there's a place in New York, and it's really one of the best. It's down in I can't remember the West Village, but Soho, and it is they make a little escargot with a port wine reduction with this like kind of mushrooms that are kind of like, so you don't know what you're eating,
Right.
and there's like they have like a little thing of homemade bread on the bottom of the little pan, so you have the port wine and the mushrooms and the escargot and the butter all just kind of
just
sitting on the
soaking
bread.
on that
So
bread.
and it is so good, and I never thought I would love it, but I loved it. found it.
Yeah, that's when you find out when you get a little bit of money, you can eat like that.
Escargot.
That's that apartment 2F season 1.
That was the good stuff. Oh my God, this is really good.
That'd be a fun prank at like a restaurant that's fancy enough to have the steel cover when they bring the plate out. Mm-hmm. But they take it off and it's a McChicken. Yeah. And they're like, don't forget where you came from, you piece of shit.
So, Nate, how's it been for you being on the road with the Sklar Brothers? How's that been opening up for a national or world-renowned acts?
It's always super fun. I love working with these guys, and I get to do, to me, the real mark of a great headliner or pair of headliners in this case, but the mark of like a great act is when they don't these guys never tell me what to do because they trust me, and that I really appreciate. Where because you also in that you have to give someone the freedom to fuck up before they ever do anything nice, like good. Yeah, it's sort of that's just kind of the way I believe that it works, and but it's always great, man. It's always a fun hang. Like I got to meet in my hometown. I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people I wouldn't have gotten to meet otherwise. Actually Harmar.
Yeah.
Sean Tillman, a musician in Minneapolis, who's amazing, and I had been a fan of his music for years before I met him, but he knows these guys. And then just last week I was doing shows in Fargo, and I ended up at a bar that he co-owns.
Wow.
No way.
And
was he there?
Well, no, but I know the bartender. Bartender's a girlfriend of a comic. Uh-huh. And then she was talking to another part owner, and I saw they had a drink called the Harmar, and I was like, "That's funny." Yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, he owns this place."
Right. They should have called the place Barmar.
It's called
that is
Harold's.
The coolest, man. When you be like, "Yo, I meet someone who I normally wouldn't meet."
It's great. I love going on the road, and it's one of the few feature gigs that I still do.
Yeah,
because I love it.
He's a headliner.
That's how long have you been performing?
About 10 years.
Oh, right on.
10 and a half.
Cool. Oh, we're in the same class, different ages.
Yeah.
But cheers.
Cheers. This is so good.
To 2019. Class of 2019. Once I graduate.
Shells, this may be better than the first one. And I loved the first one. These are both, you're
That's
hitting
that
me.
Blood orange.
You're hitting me in the spot. It's like the straight beer, I'm going to smack you in the face with the beer. That's okay, but these are so much more complicated and complex. So thank you.
This is
very welcome. I put a lot of thought into picking these beers.
I love these two. Thank you.
I like this one a lot better than the first one.
The beautiful part about this is actually brewed in Richmond, Virginia, so it's really a local brewery.
I love
and it's got 5.1% alcohol.
Yep. So you have one of these, and you're feeling good.
Yeah, and this is how do I say it? It's a Gose, right? Goza. Shells keeps me up on actually what my beers are.
Goza, the Keymaster.
She's like, you want to try this? Try this.
It's a little, thank you.
Actually,
Ghostbusters.
That's a great name for this beer.
Goza, the Keymaster?
Or just the Keymaster?
That's what we're going to call this beer. The Keymaster.
The Keymaster.
There we go.
So speaking of keys, you know how we
Great transition.
Yeah, speaking of
Nailed
keys.
it.
Great
What
transition.
are some of the keys that you think that creates a good comedian?
I like what you just said in terms of you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to try stuff that does not work and not be too precious with it. But a good comedian, I think, is someone who studies comedy and knows what's out there and then really focuses on his or her or their own voice to be like, this is it. Like I just watched Gary Gulman's special.
And
I loved it so much because it was like I learned from it. You know what I mean? Gary is in the same grouping that we are.
Right.
I would say he's kind of in the time. Obviously, he's got an HBO special, so he's much farther ahead. But like, we're in the same general area,
right.
and I watched that special and I'm like, we can learn something from that.
Right.
Like his honesty, his truthfulness, his willing to take time to build an idea and a premise, and unapologetically smart about what he's saying and doing, and not caring about it or worrying, am I going to bring the audience along with me? He just does it. And then he really cares about writing jokes. He really cares about craft. Talk about craft. He cares about crafting the jokes and crafting the bits in such a way where there's a laugh at the beginning, there's a laugh right here. Even in the setup and the way he did it, there's a laugh right here. And the way he economically gets the punch in, you're like, all of it. You appreciate the craft work. It's like going and looking at the most like a well-made, like handmade dining room table, and you're like, I didn't realize he worked on the underside of this thing. You know what I mean?
The craftsmanship,
It's like when you're watching him put it together, you're like, well, you don't even need that fucking piece. And then at the end, you're like, oh shit,
that's the centerpiece.
That held it together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do think like we constantly watch other comedians, and you watch someone like Maria Bamford. I'm like, what? How can Maria Bamford show us? How can we glean anything from her? What she does is so uniquely herself, and then you just say what she does is so uniquely herself. What you should do should only be you.
Right.
It's like to me, when someone's like, "This person stole my bit," I'm like, "Well, then it wasn't
your bit.
It wasn't enough of your bit."
Right. And that's very true, because
you should be able to steal it.
Yeah. Listen, we talk. That's exactly how the guys that I came up with. We like, listen. There's no way somebody can steal something that's in your voice, because other folks know it when they hear it.
Right.
I mean,
we all trying to make statements
right.
about large things, but
right.
And there are a handful of subjects that we can talk about, and
right.
People parallel develop stuff.
Yes,
okay, so
all the time.
I'm always like,
all the time.
People parallel develop things, so I'm never quick to be like, that person stole that from that person, but like it should be uniquely your own. And so again, you watch someone like Maria Bamford, you're like, it's what she does is so uniquely her. And when she gets into the things that she does, or she'll do like a whole back and forth between a cosplay back and forth between her and her husband, that conversation. And I'm just like, she's leaning into the most Bamford that she is. I am sitting there going, as a fan of hers, going, give me more. I can't have enough, like, shower me with this. I can't have enough of it.
Yeah.
And, it's good. It forces you to say, well, who am I? Which we always need to keep asking ourselves. Who are we? Who are we when we stand on stage?
That's it. Who are we, and what are we saying, right? Especially when we got people listening. I found out
that's right.
that it's the part where people aren't laughing that's when people are really paying attention. And
They
a lot
are.
of comics like fear that.
Right. No,
and I'm like, no, that's when people are really like in tune to what you're saying.
This is with the
and then
setup
explosion.
for the punch. Yeah.
Is after that, it's just like, what's it going to be? They know it's coming.
That's right.
And they're along for the ride. And that part was just like, oh, wait, that's a little bit of magical.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
So you guys have created content on all different types of mediums. I said it to say that there's audio, there's TV, there's film, and more. Which medium have you had the most fun working with besides stand-up comedy? And if you could do one over the other for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think making TV is like my favorite thing in the world. And I mean, I love doing movies, the short, small amount of movies we've done are just amazing, because it's this humongous like animal that it's got all these moving parts, and then there's a moment where the camera's on and everyone shuts up and you got to do your thing, and there's just the comedian in you comes out, and you're like, I gotta do my thing right now. Everybody's counting on me or Jason or both of us to like do this. So I love that. TV's like that too, but creating TV stuff, I don't know. We are living in the most golden age of TV ever.
Yeah.
The stuff that's being made. I mean, all movies are just like comic book, like superhero movies. So,
Scorsese.
Right. But I'm just saying, no one makes a movie anymore unless it has that.
Yeah.
So, but TV, there's so many wonderful, incredible things to be made in TV.
Yeah. And niche things and nuanced things. And there's so many different mediums.
That's right. And you don't even know, what it's going to be, but like you can make it exactly what you want it to be. And so like to me, if we were doing TV for the rest of it, like if you said, you're going to be working for the next 20 years on TV shows. Whatever they could be, your shows, a show that you're writing that you're just a small part of, whatever. I honestly would be. I think I would if the great entertainment goddess, because it's a woman now, comes down and said to me, "This is what you're going to do for the next 20 years." I think I would just start crying and be like, "I'm the happiest person ever."
I'm a TV file, man. I love it. Grew up watching TV. I mean, like, what's some of your favorite shows that you guys are watching right now?
Right now, how about you?
Oh man, I haven't. This is really.
I know,
not
right?
gonna
As
go well,
we do
but
work, we don't watch much.
I haven't watched a TV show since Game of Thrones went off.
I love Game of Thrones.
This year.
That's close.
Yeah.
I was a big Game of Thrones fan. Of course, I love Fleabag. I know at this point.
Oh my God, I did watch Fleabag. It's amazing.
So good.
It's amazing.
So I love Fleabag. I love Catastrophe. With Rob Delaney and Sharon Horgan. That show made my wife and I. We were laughing so hard watching that show. Of course, Better Call Saul. Of course, Breaking Bad. Of course.
Are you guys watching the Breaking Bad movie?
I've not seen the movie yet. I can't wait to see that. I just need time. It's
I know, right?
And I want to watch with my wife. So it's like blocking the time up for me where she isn't asleep. I'm like, I can't go ahead without her. Glow. Oh, my God. Glow is so unbelievably good on every level. So, I mean, there's just great. Marvelous Miss Maisel. Like, those
Miss
shows.
Maisel's really good.
It's
really good.
It is a beautiful, everything is like the most beautifully wrapped box from a 1950s Saks Fifth Avenue. It's like this gorgeous present. And I don't even care. I mean, like, I'm like, it's a beautiful, beautiful show. So all those things are great. And then there's shows that I wish I was watching. I wish I was watching Killing Eve. I wish I had the stomach to watch what's the one with Elizabeth Moss and I don't even know about the dystopian. Handmaid's Tale. I would love to watch that, except I feel like that would make me too depressed.
Yeah. I watched a couple episodes, like, I'm okay. And then they're like, I live in DC, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I get it.
I see enough of that all the time. I don't know. I mean, like, I saw, what was the one? Oh, a Black Mirror. Dude,
Black Mirror is Twilight Zone for our generation.
Okay, every single one of those.
Yeah. Technology.
The USS, that one where she gets into he shrinks them down and they're in the ship. What is that? The USS. I can't remember what that episode was.
Wait, are you talking about Inner Space?
No,
but it's like
kind of like
it's kind of like that. Yeah, they pull from so many different mediums. I'm like, that's a book I read. That's a story I've heard. That's a short story.
It is so good, and because it's not like,
and then they pull their own shit from their shit,
right? And because it's not like flying cars and this and that, everything is kind of just a little bit in the future.
Right. Just beyond.
Right. So you're like, I can see this happening. Yeah. I can see all this happening, and it's terrifying, and it's beautiful, and it's great storytelling. Yeah. And I just sit there, and I get taken to another place. And to me, that's what it's all about.
That's it, man. Great storytelling.
That Black Mirror episode where everyone has the social media recorder
in their head.
That episode was the last one I watched because it fucked me up.
Oh my God,
so bad.
I mean,
that scene where they're like talking about their relationship, and then they were on a break, and then he like makes her show him the footage of her.
Oh my God.
With someone else, because it's like that.
It's unreal.
Because you connect with it in that sort of sick desire to know the thing that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, but we do. And
everyone does.
Everyone does.
You want to know, but you don't really want to fucking know. You don't really want to
see it.
You don't want to see it.
Exactly.
Right. But you do.
But the beauty of that, and the beauty of all those, is that they take the technology, and the technology is a story point. Meaning something even in the technology and in the way this thing that doesn't exist that they invented. So we do a bit on stage. We close our show on stage, and I always love this so much because of the laugh it gets. We do a whole thing about how the world's getting dumber, and we talk about how, we saw these two guys like practicing their golf swings, having a dumb conversation. It made us mad. And we, in that moment, said women, this is why women are smarter, because women would never do this. And then the bit turns to, that's all we want to see are two women at Jay's grade school who are dropping out their kids, gossiping about another woman, and like they're just while talking and swiping their thing. So we go through this huge improv. It's an improv, but we know where we're going, but it is loose. But there is a moment where one woman is talking to the other one, and she's talking about a vaginal rejuve that she was going to get. And are you getting it? And the woman's like, yeah, I'm getting it. Meanwhile, they're still swinging. They're
swinging the clothes.
I am going to get the vaginal rejuve. And who's that for? Is that for Steve? Okay.
Yeah.
She says, Steve, fictitious husband. Okay.
It's a good husband name.
It's a good husband, Steve.
It's great.
No, it's for my kids. Why would you get a vaginal rejuve for your kids? Because I don't want to resent them for ruining my vagina, which, whatever.
That is wonderful.
So then later, just a short time later, we're talking about, one's telling the other about this bra she found and how she can sleep in it, run in it, and then go to a formal function in it. I was listening to a commercial about a bra, and they were talking about this bra that could do all this other things. And the best part about the bra in this commercial is like there are no underwires, so no wire under your boob. Yet it still gives you a ridiculous amount of support. So Jay's character, the woman, asked my character, does it give you support? And I say, more support than Steve. Now, we just invented this dude like a minute earlier.
Right.
And already everyone knows that he's a shit heel.
He's a shitty dude.
Because he doesn't support her. And he's not a good husband.
Yeah.
And to me, we created this character, and then we went the step further to give him characteristics and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what we just did there is even remotely close to Black Mirror, but
I
it's what I love about Black Mirror is
and it includes those tags that you were talking about.
They invent this thing they invent it, and then after they invent it, they bend the rules and change it and use it to and you're just like, oh my God, it's just incredible.
Start off
to me, the beautiful thing of sci-fi, and the reason I love it as a genre, is that you reveal humanity by the technology.
Right.
The technology that is what reveals the humanness in
the most basic of stories.
The most basic humanness.
Want, desire, loss, all these things that we experience as told through now a little thing that tells you when your relationship's going to end. That episode. Eight months, 2 days, 2 hours. And so, do we even go through with this?
Right. So here's the countdown. But we do because
8
we
months
have to.
Seems nice.
You'd go for that?
I go for 8 months.
All right, that's good. Okay. Even if you knew it was in?
That's awesome, man. You guys are sci-fi nerds like myself. I love science fiction. So let me ask you guys this quick question.
Sure.
Do you guys have any other hobbies, this was on the topic of science fiction, outside of comedy, that keep you sane?
That's a great question. I know me. I mean, I have a couple of hobbies. One being sports. I'm a huge sports fan. So huge. And have teams that I love and will read all this stuff about. I mean, I'll, on nights when I should be stressed out about something, I will go to sleep thinking about potential basketball lineups for the University of Michigan men's basketball team, like going into their too deep. I'm like, well, what if this guy drops down to the number 3? It's so dumb, but it's this dumb thing that allows me to then just fall asleep. Or I'll listen to podcasts about it. So I love sports. Yeah. And then music. I love music more than anything. So collecting records and listening to music and going to see music live and all that other stuff. Just although you can glean when I see artists step on stage and play their music, there is like a confidence or a quietness that I'm watching that and I'm like, ooh, that's good. We should do that. Yeah. We should do that when we go up and perform. Or we should command this the way that woman just walked on stage and just handled her business. I'm like, we should do that. Yes.
I literally hear things and incorporate them because I'm like, you got to, especially in hip hop. I'm a hip hop head. Yeah. But I'm like, some lines, I'm like, that's a joke. Right. I listen to Moose stuff, but I'm like, that's a joke. You listen to some Old Dirty Bastard, I'm like, that's
Old Dirty Bastard.
How do I?
Old Dirty Bastard is he made me so happy. Like just listening to his stuff because I'm like, you're a goofball.
Yeah.
You were a goofball in the hardest
way
world ever. Like, how could he be so goofy in that world?
Yeah.
They're like,
I just like picture him hanging out with a bunch of gangsters and be like, "Hey, y'all see that new Scooby Doo?"
What do you want?
Now watch. It's never really a ghost. Hold on. No, we can do that shit later.
You crazy kids.
But he just was like, everybody in Wu-Tang was like, oh, that's just Old Dirty. I mean, that's just him. That's just who he is, and they let him be who he was.
Right.
Do you find like this? I'm wondering because I do a similar thing where, like, sometimes in order to sleep, I just need something for my brain to chew on. Mm-hmm. Where is that what the sports thing is for you? Where because it feels like music is more of like a sort of aesthetic enjoyment for you, and then sports is something where you can just send your brain after it, and there's so much data there that
it can consume
you just
thoughts that would otherwise be consumed by things that might make me give me anxiety. So but when your sports team that you love starts losing, then that can affect your mood in a negative way.
But it's a good place to complain. It's a good place to put the complaints.
Well, you know,
I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like, you motherfucker.
It's a safe way to complain. It's safe because, first of all, it's an extremely low stakes proposition that tricks you into thinking it's high stakes.
Yes.
Right. So Cubs fans who, when they finally won the World Series, they're like, I can die now. I'm like, no, you could have died before.
You might have died.
You would have died either way.
You might be dead, and this is heaven.
I mean, I watched the end of the Michigan-Iowa football game with the volume completely down because I thought somehow if I turn the volume up, they're going to lose. I have the power in my stupid house to do that.
Yeah.
Are we doing another beer?
Actually, we're going to turn the volume up on this podcast.
Okay, let's do it.
And we're going to take a quick moment, and we will be right back. Comedy Craft is recorded right here in Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Comedy Loft, an iconic location for stand-up comedy. We've got some amazing headliners the month of November. Under the Influence Mind Melt Comedy Showcase, November 7th. Tony Hinchcliffe pulls in with his podcast November 8th and 9th. Hunter Hill is in town November 8th. Jake the Snake Roberts in town November 11th. J.F. Harris is in town November 14th. And D.C. Benny returns to D.C. November 15th and 16th. Dan Perlman is in town November 15th and 16th. Mark Ellis pulls up November 16th. Holidays edition of My Melt Comedy Showcase is November 21st. Paul Mercurio is in town November 22nd and 23rd. And Todd Rex comes back home November 22nd and 23rd. Carl Anthony Payne II is in town November 29th and 30th. And Gianmarco Soresi is in town November 29th and 30th. That's right, get turkeys and laughter all that weekend. All these shows and more have tickets available at the DCComedyLoft.com. Welcome back home. And welcome back to Comedy Craft. And we are talking about the craft of comedy and craft beers with our guest today, Nate Abshire and a Sklar brother. I say a Sklar brother. We have Randy, his mom's favorite.
Representing.
Favorite Sklar brother.
I've got glasses, so it's like
Nate, you're a Jay. You're a Nate and Jay's glasses.
Jay stand in.
Yeah.
Jay stand in. Mm-hmm. So right now we're getting ready to sip our third beer of the evening. Shells, what are we sipping on?
The third beer is by Stone Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. It is the Palmer Said Knock You Out IPA.
Palmer Said Knock You Out.
And it has a 7.8 ABV on it.
Wow.
And
pomegranate?
It also was made by a bunch of ladies.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. I'm already in.
Witch's Brew. All right.
Okay, so is there pomegranate?
Cheers.
Yes, pomegranate.
Yeah, so Palmer Said Knock You Out. Easy, nailed it.
It's a red IPA also.
Good. That's yummy.
Wow, that is
a little stronger, but it is yummy.
Yeah, it's very good.
I love it, Shells.
That is a rare IPA.
Thank you.
Got a good front end and
that's the handmade.
back end.
Yeah, that's the handmade
either.
The handmade's beer. That's so good.
That's awesome. So before the break, we were talking about hobbies. We got music and sports from Randy. Nate, what are some of your hobbies that you get into?
I also like music. Actually, when we met, we talked a lot about bands.
Okay. Well, what genre of music are we talking about? Like, what genre? Just music? Because I like good. When people say, what kind of music do you like? I say good.
Right.
And no lie, I got that from Donnie Simpson. Like, just good music. If it's good, I dig it.
I mean,
especially record collecting right now. Like, vinyl is recently outsold
I love
all the other forms.
I don't do any vinyl. I'm like all digital.
That's great. I'm all vinyl, but digital too. But I mean, finding those vinyl finds.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what's some stuff on your phone, man? What kind of playlist you got?
Man, I've been listening to like Casey Musgraves.
Okay.
Love her. Love that album.
Love her.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Schneider's daughter's actually great.
Really?
So you like that country swing?
I do. I like a lot. I've been getting into a lot more country lately. Like before that, it was like Run the Jewels. I was a big fan of that, and like Kendrick's album was crazy.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of EDM too.
Okay. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, I mean, it's
how do you
like
feel about Marshmallow? My kids are loving Marshmallow.
into it. That what's that track? It was Marshmallow and Churches or whatever.
Churches.
Is it just Churches?
It's just Churches.
You can't spell it weird and pronounce it the same.
It's just Churches.
Did you watch the Marshmallow? We did watch the Marshmallow Fortnite concert.
So like,
I did.
Oh, that's the name of it. It's called "Here with Me." I like that track a lot.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That track's
I mean, I'm
dope.
super indie rock. Like super indie rock. I took my whole family to see Vampire Weekend at the Hollywood Bowl, our first all-family concert.
Ooh,
wow, that's
and
a good concert.
It was. First of all, they are in their prime.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought their latest album, Father of the Bride, was
They're big,
incredible.
yeah.
And they filled the Hollywood Bowl. They were amazing. And then 5 days later, my friends got extra tickets and took me to see Van Morrison at the Bowl, which I was like, he's probably going to suck. He's probably going to be old. He sounded amazing. Yeah. And I'm a huge Van Morrison fan. There were like 5 albums in the 70s that he did when he did like Moondance, St. Dominic's Preview, Hard Nosed the Highway, Veedon Fleece, and then in the 80, Common One, but I would throw Wavelength in there too.
Nice. Okay.
He went on a run. He went on an output of stuff that was just, it was miraculous. And he played
like normally you
in
get
Astro Week,
2 good albums out of an artist.
Right.
Tops.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah.
3 and you are great. 4 and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, you're a G.
Like the Fratellis.
Have like one good album,
right? And it's
a
great album. Back amazing.
Yeah. I would say the Killers had one great album.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And you're like, if the Killers did 4 more albums like that, then you'd be what Van Morrison put out in the birth of the 70s.
But now it's like it's just all of these things that they've done.
Right. And so I loved both those shows, and I love Casey. I put Casey Musgraves on in the car, and we all sing, like all 3 of my 3 girls in my house, like my 2 daughters and my wife sing it, and it's like we listen to it as we drive, and I'm like, this is great. This is
it's like real country music. Like there's this sort of resurgence for me because like in the 90s.
Did you watch the country?
No, I definitely didn't. I don't know what you're going to say. What was it?
Who's the guy who does like the big documentaries? Who did the one about jazz and the one about baseball and the one? Who's the guy?
Oh, Ken Burns. Oh, he's doing country one now.
Did the country one? You got to see that.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's supposed to be unbelievable.
Good. Country music. I mean, I love country music because it's close to the blues and it's.
I mean, it was more recently stolen.
It was stolen.
Well, I didn't want to say it's stolen. It was just like, oh, you guys, that's what you guys are doing.
I'm gonna read a playlist of songs that I made with my. So then I love hip hop, specifically like 90s.
Okay.
Hip hop,
is
so my friend is a DJ, and we made an album, or we made a playlist back and forth. Where we were just putting stuff on because I was trying to get to the one song I wanted to play for her after one night she and her friend were out with me. We did Lucha Bavoom, which is Mexican wrestling at the Mayan in LA. 2,000 people. It's drunken madness.
Stop.
It's Mexican wrestling.
With the mask and the whole nine.
And burlesque. And we we announced it. Like, so it was me and Jason, me and Andy Richter and Blaine Capatch. We're calling crazy Mexican wrestling that was funny and cool with like stripping in between in front of 2,000 drunk people. So afterwards we're riding back and I was like, I have to play this song in my car right now because I'm hyped up and it would be great. And I was trying to think, it was an old SWV song with the Wu-Tang.
Oh, anything.
So I had to pull the car over to do it. So I want
dirty bad.
He comes in. Sound cuts like glass.
Gotta keep it how powerful. Come on, get some stuff in the room.
Let's head out.
I was watching. You're gonna be head.
Here, I'm gonna read you the songs we put on our playlist, and this will tell you where my heart is at. So right here, although I hasten to say, can we still play that even though it's got the human nature undercurrent? Right here, SWV, anything SWV.
Yes.
Sally, the Gucci Crew, too.
Oh, that's going.
No, you're not. Oh, Sally. Whew, that girl.
Go ahead.
My Boo, Hitman's Club remix.
Yes.
Of course, this is how we do it. B-Rock and the...
Of course. This is how we do it.
B-Rock and the Biz, my baby daddy.
Hey,
I know
Biz,
that's just...
yes.
Come on. I know that's just a baby daddy.
Yes.
If It Isn't Love, New Edition. Creep, TLC, watch out now, Beat Nuts, Gonna Make You Sweat.
This is good.
Gonna make you sweat. Hold on, is that CNC music?
The Humpty Dance, Shake You Down, Gregory Abbott. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Come on, girl, let's rock the show. That is my go-to karaoke song right there. Oh Boy, Cameron.
Yeah.
Let's see. Money in the Way, 2 Chainz. That's today.
That joint. Yeah, I came out to
International,
in Wisconsin. I came out to that joint.
International Players Anthem. Yeah. Deja Vu, Uptown Baby. Yeah. Lord Tariq and Peter Guns. Won't Trade, Q-Tip. You Dropped a Bomb on Me, the Gap Band. Thank You, featuring Q-Tip and Busta Rhymes.
Yeah. It samples. I want to thank you,
everybody, for shining your light on me. All right, okay.
I'm too cheap.
Drop It Like It's Hot.
Yes.
Of course. Electric Relaxation.
Ooh,
Tribe Called Quest. Let's see what else. What else we have? Some Prince up in here.
Yep, you should.
Around the Way Girl, My Prerogative, Bobby Brown. Let's see what else. Just a Friend, of course.
Yeah.
Ain't Going Out Like That, Cypress Hill. Good as Hell, Lizzo. Don't Let It Go to Your Head, Brand Nubians.
That is the joy.
Don't let it go to your head, no.
He said, don't do it while you're on the top. Make another album and see if you don't drop.
That's right. So that is where my heart lies. So all of that stuff I love. So in addition, but I'm a big country fan too, and I just got into. Have you ever heard of? It was the Magnolia Electric Company is the name of the album. Songs Ohio. Have you heard of them?
No.
If you have to listen to the album Electric, it's called Magnolia Electric Company. It is some of the most beautiful and incredible. It's like the Jayhawks, which I'm sure you know who the Jayhawks are, but it reminds me of that from the 90s and 2000. I'd never heard of it, and a friend of mine gave me the album, and I'm like, it's amazing. So anyway, sorry I went off on a tangent.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's what I love about country music.
Yeah. Those are all good. Lizzo is she's from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
She's the best.
She's the best,
I love that she's as big as, not big as she is, but I mean, I love that she got as popular as she is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She has absolutely. She has a real good vibe.
When you heard Good as Hell for the first time,
I was
it's a joint. It's a joint. Yeah.
This is, I'm like, she is amazing. She's doing things in this song. So I heard Good as Hell, and I'm like, why don't more people know about her?
Right.
So I got mad.
Right.
And then this latest stuff that comes out, I'm like, oh man, you're as good. You can be as good or as known as Nicki Minaj. You can be as good or as known as whatever.
And just as fire. And I mean, she blew up and she showed up, and it was just like, and she can back it up. It was funny. Is like my wife was like, "Well, who is this? Why is everybody liking her?" And then I showed her some stuff, and she was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good."
And by the way, every girl, there are more girls out there that look like her.
Yeah.
That are like, you go.
Yeah.
It's so great. I love it.
I mean, she was in, she's at a few festivals, but what did I just see her at recently? It might have been Made in America or something like that. And
man.
She freaking killed it in Philly.
I will go to the mat for that girl. She's amazing.
Yeah. So it's funny because we're talking about people, someone that should have knew more of back when, but they know her now. Mm-hmm. I say that to say, if you guys could talk to your early comedy selves, what would you say to your day one self from your day now self?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I would say buckle up. It's going to be a crazy ride.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Don't let it go to your head, but don't let the losses feel too low. Don't let it go to your head. No. Anyway, and don't
listen to that before. I listen to that after I come off stage sometimes.
I mean, and don't let the highs get too high and don't let the lows get too low. There were a couple times where we got nailed in this business and didn't get things that we wanted and thought we were going to get it and didn't, and we were devastated beyond belief and couldn't see around the corner that anything would be around the corner. We thought, this is it, it's over. And I would tell myself back then, there are going to be those times, but you just have to just believe in yourself and stay patient. And as hard as that's going to be, and I still don't have all the answers today, but I would just be like, don't let those, because we wasted a lot of time being upset about things that didn't happen.
Damn.
I think for me it would be stick with the computer job. What do you
do? You IT?
What are you, 24, making $26.50 an hour? Fucking, what are you gonna quit that job?
In Minneapolis?
Just keep
You are a king, yo.
Keep working. Keep doing system support at Northwest Airlines. Fucking idiot.
I work in telecom and in IT now, so I know exactly what you're saying. And people are like, why don't you quit your day job? Well, it's pretty good.
It's making me money.
Yeah, and in my evening job, I get to talk to cats like you. Right. So it's just like I always say, like, just chill.
Like, don't get so into comedy. Just, do it once in a while, but go to work.
Do you ever have that vibe, like, I should have never stepped on that fucking stage?
I mean, honestly, like, what I tell newer comics, at least, is, like, the worst thing that can happen to you in this business is that you're funny. It's like, to me, that's even worse than if you just keep eating shit and do open mics for 20 years. Like, it's way worse where people are like, oh, yeah, you could make a career out of this. But they don't say, you won't want to. They're like, you could. And it's like, yeah, but...
That's real, Nate. That's real.
Oh, dope.
Think about it.
I can live on $8,000 a year for 6 fucking years.
But wait, it gets worse.
but wait. Yeah, no, I tell young people all the time, like, what can I do? How do I do that? I'm like, you got 10 years
Enjoy
to maybe
what
see if
you're
it works.
doing.
Well, you got to love it. I mean, there are moments... Yeah. There are moments when I am, like, in it with my family. I am helping out. I am, like, having dinner with my, helping with homework, putting kids down to sleep. And I'm in my house and I'm in the place that I just want to be in for the night. And I know I got to go out in, like, 20 minutes and drive to the Comedy Store and then go follow Joey Diaz. With no host. Go follow Joey Diaz, who just followed Christy D'Elia, who just followed Sebastian, who just followed David Spade on the main room of the Comedy Store. Yeah. And all I want to do is just lie in bed with my oldest daughter and our bulldog and just go to sleep. Yeah. But there's a moment where what pulls you out of the house and gets you in the car and drives you to that place and gets you. You have to love it. You have to love it through the times you don't want to do it. And if you don't love it, then...
I think also for me, like, I joke, but if I felt like I could stop, I would.
Yep.
And that's always my advice to people is, like, if you feel like you could walk away and be happy, go. Do it.
Do it because this is hard.
There's no other reason to do it other than you can't stop.
That's right.
It's a drug.
It is.
Speaking of drugs, we're drinking.
Yes.
And what would you gentlemen name this beer that we drank? The red IPA.
Wait, this is the pomegranate?
This is the Palmer. It's a Palmer's head knocking you out.
What about the palm grenade?
It's good. It's good.
Palm grenade. I like it.
I don't like that.
it. But this was the one that was crafted by women, yes?
Yeah, the palm.
Yeah.
Palm grenade,
Palm
I want
date.
to call it the handmaid's tale. I mean,
The palm maid's tail.
No, damn it. Never mind.
pain in the
I'm
morning.
gonna get it. I'm gonna find one.
I'm gonna call this one the Black Woman Sketch Show. Just kidding.
Black lady sketch.
I call it the Ghostbusters reboot.
Palm. Palmier.
Yeah.
Palmier. All right. So do we? Let's set it on a name real quick.
What do you want to call it?
I don't know. Pick someone else.
Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Call it good as hell.
I call it Palm as Hell.
Palm as hell.
All right.
go.
Yeah.
Palm as hell.
There you go.
There we go.
Palm as hell. That's good. Pomegranate IPA, crafted by ladies. Palm as hell.
Palm as Hell.
All right. That said, we will be right back after this short break.
Are you looking to get into computer programming and development, but just not sure where to start? Maybe you've been in the field a while and you want to learn something new. Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm your host for Truth or Dev, the podcast where we talk the truth behind coding, plus take on some exciting dev challenges that are sure to be an adventure in programming. We will also discuss development with different guests as they share their insight and answer questions from our subscribers. So be sure to check out Truth or Dev on Mad Scientist Media at truthordev.msm.fm for new episodes coming soon.
And we are back. Welcome back to Comedy Craft, where we discuss the craft of comedy while we drink craft beers. Today, our guests are the Sklar Brothers, but we have one brother, and we have our mad scientist sitting in the second seat, Seth Weinstein. What's up, Seth?
What up, Haywood?
Thank you, Haywood.
You guys have been talking. You've been able to hear me talk to him this whole time. So finally, you guys get to hear what he sounds like, and this is why I give Seth such a hard time.
Oh, no.
But we are drinking our fourth beer.
Yes,
so
Shells. What do we got, girl?
What do we have?
We have the Manhattan Double Rye Ale by Funky Buddha Brewing.
Funky Buddha.
I love it.
It has a ABV of 12.7.
Yes.
Jesus.
And it is two beers blended as one.
Okay.
Okay?
It's a
So
super
they
beer.
took a
Kind of like the Sklar Brothers.
double rye ale and aged it in bourbon barrels, and then they took a Belgian triple ale and aged it in wine barrels.
Wow.
Put them together with some botanicals and some herbs, and there you have it.
All right, I'm gonna take
Some
a sip.
botanicals and some
Here
herbs.
we go.
Sounds like weed.
Cheers. Cheers. Boom.
You can taste the wine.
Okay, so that tastes like bourbon.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it tastes like a beer with a bourbon aftertaste.
Oh, yeah.
I've never had a beer that tastes like that. It's really good.
That's
You
some
could-
serious
you definitely
gourmet
taste the
shit,
wine.
Jimmy.
That's strong. That is
It's
strong.
the craft of beers, baby.
that
Good,
goes
man.
good with whiskey.
This,
Actually, this goes.
I'm gonna. You know, I already have the name for it.
Go ahead.
Pass the beer Vassier.
That was
I
hey, cheers, Pastor Bivancier.
You know what I mean? I had to throw a little
Oh.
buster in there.
Oh, yeah.
I had to throw it in.
I
had
like
to throw it in.
I like it. I like it.
It
I
just
like it.
tastes classy. Yeah, I mean, there is so much going on in this one. It's great.
Oh man,
great.
So, how have you enjoyed the show so far, Ray?
I love this. This particular podcast is great. I mean, I love talking craft. We love the craft of stand up. We just love it. I mean, Yeah, well, we do this with our friends. Like whenever we talk about with Nate, whenever we go on the road with Nate or other friends, we have 3 Nates that we travel with. It's so funny. Nate Abshire, and then there's our buddy Nate Fridson from New York, who is super talented. And we just went on the road with Nate Craig, who is so funny and so talented in his own right. Just did a couple of dates with him, and he is amazing. We got on the road with Amy Miller, our friend Amy Miller. She's great. But I just love we love the feature acts that are our friends that we can then talk about. Hey, help us with this bit. We want to help you with your stuff. How do we write comedy? And all that stuff is great. We have a show that we are going to be pitching around that we did at Montreal. We did it in Montreal. We did it in at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, and we'll do it again. It's called Tag It With Us, where comedians go on stage, you know what's coming. They do a 6-minute set, and Jason and I are off on the side of the stage writing tags for their jokes. We come up on stage afterwards in real time. We come up on stage and we pitch them our jokes. What if you did this? What if you? And if they love it, it's great.
I love that.
If they riff with us, it's even better.
Yeah.
If they hate it, it's great.
That's great.
Because we can make fun of each other for whoever swung and missed. We don't care. We make ourselves the butt of the joke. So you can't lose. It is so fun, and you see what happens and what goes on in green rooms everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's all about the process of comedy, which is guys come off stage, girls come off stage, women come off stage, and then they come over and we're like, hey, I love this bit that you're doing. Have you ever thought of saying this? Or I have a pitch for you. I have a joke for you. Judd Apatow we're on a show that he was on at the Improv in LA a couple weeks ago. And he was doing something that was so funny. He was talking about his daughter. Whenever someone comes up to him and is really nice to him, they'll walk away and his daughter will make fun of them for being nice to him. So his 16-year-old daughter would be like,
I personally love that.
Judd Apatow, who is a millionaire many times over, okay? But in his stand-up, he very successfully makes himself still the butt of the joke in his own family. So he's a guy that we can all relate to. This should be a guy that none of us can relate to, but we all relate to.
We can still get it,
So then he tells a story about going to see Beyonce. He went to see her perform or something like that. And then because people know him and whatnot, they invited him to the after party. And his 16-year-old daughter is with him at the after party. There's all these people around. And I think Jay-Z came up to him in front of his daughter and started saying something that he liked in a movie that he did. Jay-Z! And then he left, and so he didn't do this, but Jay and I pitched to him, you should have your daughter. Yeah, I'm Jay-Z. Yeah, I like your movies. So we pitched that to him.
Rockefeller,
It's a hard knock life. Yeah. So I'm Hova. Boo.
Yeah.
So
you want? Oh,
so we pitched him that, and he loved it. And it was for us, we know him and he knows us, and we're not at the point where we haven't worked with him, so that makes me sad that we've never actually worked with him.
Yeah.
But here we were sitting at a table at the Improv. We had just seen his set. He had just seen our set, and we came outside and we pitched him this stuff, and he graciously took it and graciously was like, so we love the process as far as it goes. So the craft of comedy mixed with the craft of beer is a great idea.
Man. I actually grew up around comedy ever since I was 12 years old. And a lot of the people I first saw, Haywood as a great example, started out doing just the open mics, the contests, things like that. And now I'm seeing people who are headliners, and it's just a fascinating experience. I was actually having a conversation with my father, who is the stand-up comedian I grew up with. And he told me, he's like, one day I will not see these headliners as often because of how the craft evolves us and how the craft puts us on stage with all these different people, and soon we become the headliners, soon we become the big stage acts, and I just love seeing that evolution in all these different people.
How was it growing up with a dad who did stand-up?
Well, Haywood's laughing because he's heard about half the jokes about me.
Right.
My father actually... My father was performing yesterday, actually, and I was sitting right there, and he tells the joke about how me and my sister found a book of different mixed beverages. And there was this joke because my youngest brother, who's now actually up in culinary school in New York, asked my father, "What's a blowjob?" But he had no idea about the sex act. He's looking at this book with all these weird
Mixed
names:
drinks.
Sex on the beach, buttery nipple,
The orgasm.
blowjob.
Right.
Yep, screaming orgasm. There you go. That's what my sister asked my mother about.
Sure.
Yep.
But that was not about the mixed drinks.
Oh no, not at all.
What was that? What did I hear the other day?
I'm just glad he stopped telling the joke about my Jewish penis.
All right, good. Thank God.
That's the one joke I'm glad he finally started cutting from his set.
Yeah,
Mazel.
just like your Jewish.
Mazel, yeah.
Just like your Jewish penis was cut.
Oh,
Is that
fact.
Is that a walk off? What are we doing here?
Fun fact, I did take all my kids to Moyles to have their to be circumcised. I was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Even your daughter.
Yeah. He was an African boy.
I got you.
Oh man.
So I did. You got me.
I get.
So, so yeah, as I like how you guys incorporate sports into your act. I like how you guys incorporated sports into your Comedy Central special. I think that was, to your Netflix special, excuse me.
Yeah.
That was amazing because it was like, okay, we have the opening, we have the
middle,
pregame, the postgame.
yeah,
I mean, like
and
that
the
was like,
halftime.
yo.
That was so fun to do, and we got all those people, and we directed it, and we were like, "This is the way you guys got to play it, and can you just play it straight? You're just talking about real stuff.
Yeah.
The more straight you play it, the funnier it is.
Yeah.
And Rich was so good, and those guys were great. I mean, the tone is great. I mean, it's the tone that we're going out and pitching another show with Rich that's like kind of in that tone and in using that. Literally using those bits as an example of the tone of the show we want to do.
Oh, man, that's so cool, man. It's so cool. I really dig how you guys incorporate the things that you like into your act. Like you see a lot of times comedians talk about things that superficial things to me. It's like things that, okay, this is politics, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. This is the world. But who are you?
That's right.
You know what I mean? So through your act, we get to go, oh, the Sklar Brothers dig this and they dig that. And
I mean, and we're like, this is funny. this to us is just, if we had Rich Eisen talking about
that was so like,
how
it's Rich Eisen.
How I'm not a cold weather comic. I've never been known, which is why I don't do well in Canada. Like, what a weird and funny thing. Or Bonnie Bernstein on the sidelines asking me what did I do. He's like, you've gained weight. And I'm like, 3 pounds, none of it muscle. Just getting ready. You don't want to Piscopo out. You don't want to exercise. Get pumped up and lose what's funny about you. She's like, what's going through your brain right now? I'm like, I'm just going through my joke progressions one at a time. It's like your read progressions and stuff, and I'm just gonna take it one joke at a time. That's what it is. She's like, is weather gonna be a factor? And I'm like, I hope so. But I mean, that was all those interviews and stuff. We know exactly how to do that, and to take that and apply it to something else. We're like, that's what we love to do.
Oh, man, that's so cool. That is so cool. So I do have a question. We know the Sklar Brothers, but are there any other Sklar siblings? Are there more?
No, it's just us.
Just you two?
Just the two of us, and that was, I mean, I think growing up, I think it would have been hard for another one to come along.
I'm a sibling of 3, so I can relate.
Behind us. It just would be hard, but...
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4, so it's like a bunch of us. But like I said, I have a set of twin cousins. I told you guys off mic. And they are the youngest of 7.
Wow.
But they grew up... The 7 are much older than them.
Right.
So they grew up together, and as I don't want to say as only children, but just together. We were all older than them.
Right.
All of the, cousins and siblings.
Right.
So I say that to say, it's just like watching those two grow up, they have their talk. Like I was hearing you and your brother talk. I was like, okay, they have their...
language.
Yeah. And then also at the same time, that vibe that helps us just listening to you guys, boom. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
We listen to each other.
That is very, very, that's something that can't be duplicated.
Well, we try. So that's going back to what we were saying in the beginning and making something original and that is your own. That is the one thing that we feel like we can do. If we can create a way that our stuff is done and the way we interact with each other, let that be the unique and individual thing that we do that is different from what everybody else does, that's uniquely trademarked our own.
Yeah.
That's great, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm envious of singular comedians because a singular comedian can have one point of view and put it out there, and it's very clear, it's very easy to understand. You know, it's like, you know what this one person is doing. Like, I know Ali Wong's point of view. I get Sebastian's point of view. I understand his point of view, and it's very clear to understand that. With two, you're kind of, there's stuff happening between us. There's stuff to the audience. It's like, it's more of a show. It's a little more complicated. It's not as easy to digest as a simple thing. And I'm not saying their comedy's simple. I'm saying it's easy to understand their point of view.
No, understood.
So when I say, what is our point of view, it's a little harder to describe, but we're really showing you what it's like to have, like, we're opening up what a twin relationship would look like on the highest level.
You guys really are. Along those lines, what was it like to battle your brother?
I was just thinking
in
that.
roast battle.
Oh, yeah. That was the exact question on my mind, because you're talking about the getting along with the brothers.
Because that's how we know you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We know you guys as getting
now you're
along.
seeing it from the individual
we've seen
side,
you guys,
right?
If I'm not mistaken, you guys have done separate things.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, like, we're used to seeing you guys.
So
and then
the
we go
roast,
like, whoa, here they come.
So Jeff Ross said, I want you guys to do the roast battle. And we were like, no. Because we judge it. And I love judging it all the time in the belly room. We judge it all the time. And I love it. And they love us. And I would argue that we are some of the best judges that they have, because we often like to give advice but then roast the shit out of everybody. And I love roasting. But we just were like, man, I don't know if we can do this. And he's like, I want you to do it. I think you should do it. And we're like, probably not. And then he came back to us and said, what are you guys thinking? And we're like, do you really think we should do it? He said, yeah, I really think you should do it. And we said, man, this feels so foreign to us. This feels so far outside of who we are. What if we're not good? What if it's not? He's like, listen, you guys are going to be the main event of the episode. So there will be, Joe List is going to battle his wife beforehand, and it's going to be brutal. But you guys are the main event.
Right.
So we're only going to do 6 episodes, and there are 6 main events. You guys are going to be the main event. And we were like, okay, you know what? Maybe in life it is good to get outside of something you're comfortable doing and try something new. Go outside your comfort zone and see if we can do it. And we worked really hard on the jokes. We worked hard with a couple of friends and people. Jay Light helped write some stuff with us, and Doug Fager helped write some stuff, and they were great. And we worked really hard. We tried to workshop it a little bit. We didn't want each other to know what we were writing, but we also... And what played out was, I think, one of the most unique battles that existed out there.
Oh, yeah.
So much so that then this past summer in Montreal, Jeff said, I want you guys to roast... he's like, will you guys roast someone? And we're like, we don't want to do it. We're done. We did it. It's over. And then he said, okay, well, what if you guys judge it and we'll have you guys roast each other? Kind of, you can do what you did before, and then we'll do that as an exhibition. We're like, okay. So then we head up there to Montreal, which, you know, Montreal Comedy Festival, it's a big festival, a lot of industry and whatnot. It's still a big deal to go. And the first day, we get an email saying, you guys are going to battle Brad Williams in the first round of the roast battle. And we're like, we can't battle Brad. He's been like a son to us. He's been wanting to do comedy since he was this high.
It's just covered.
I mean, look.
Oh man, I remember on the Something Burning, you guys made the joke about the you guys get the same pay as Brad Williams.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
Half
what any comedian gets. Like, Brad Williams' wife is half Asian and Brad is half. He's just half. Man. We said, Brad, you're like a 1990s rap song. Wait, what do we say? Brad, you're like a 19... What? I can't even remember what the beginning of it is. Brad, you're like a 1990s rap song. Too short with a forehead that's notoriously B.I.G. He was great, and by the way, he was amazing too, and he roasted us back, and it was great. And by the way, when you stand on stage and it's 2 guys and one guy who looks like Brad, everybody wants him to win. So we had we had to win by so much just to squeak by.
Right.
So we won, which we were like, great, we won, which means we battle because of the tournament. We got to now battle someone the next night. So we battled this guy from England the next night. We're working on jokes all day, and literally writing them all day and doing the best we can. We go that night, and it is back and forth. The guy had some really big ones, but then he had a one that just died at the end, and we were consistent throughout. And we won again, and so now we're in the semifinals against Jimmy Carr.
Oh, yes.
Which we were like, we don't want to do this. Like, we don't want to do, I don't want to waste. But the thing was, every day, you are at the end of the night at the biggest event. It's in front of 1,100 people. Everyone piles in to see it, and that was the thing that everyone was talking about when you hung out at the bar afterwards. And even though we didn't beat Jimmy Carr, I felt like we got some great shots in.
Good.
Said, I loved you as the evil dummy in Toy Story 4. I said, loved you as that. He laughed at one point, and I was like, Jimmy, you laugh like a woman who's trying to come but can't.
That's amazing.
And he's like, I'm taking that. I'm stealing that. But he's great, and he wrote a bunch of things, and he was fine. But I think people just wanted to see him move on, and he did, and it's fine. But like,
I like that.
I'm not angry. But
That's the sports analogy. Like,
that's right.
On a better day.
On a better day,
Taking those shots.
If I wasn't in Canada, cold weather, fuck
Canada. It was fun. It was cool to do, and it was great to step outside the comfort zone on the whole roast, on all the roasting of it all.
Oh man! Well, we thank you for coming into our comfort zone. We hope you were comfortable today.
I loved it, man.
Thank you for coming
so
on
much.
to Comedy Craft. I do have to ask, what was your favorite beer of the night?
So, I mean, I love them all. My favorite beer, I think, was the second beer that we had. The second beer that we had, which
The
was
Goza.
Yeah, the Goza, the Keymaster. I
The
love that
Keymaster.
one. I love that one. It was the tangerine. It was the Goza. It had the tangerine and it had the citrus flavor.
You're asking me what was the Goza?
Yeah, no. But that was the one. I'm telling you that I love that one that you picked out for us.
Yeah,
so
the
thank
second
you.
beer. That was our favorite beer
That
of
was
the
my
night.
favorite one. I mean, they're all good. They were all really good. This last one is really good, but it's like too much for me. But
Pass the beer, Vassier.
Pass the beer, Vassier. Mm-hmm. But the first one I loved too. The notes of banana. I was like, I was shocked that I could taste it in there, and it was really
Bananas in the attic.
It's in the attic. Pass the beer, Vassier. And the pomegranate one, we couldn't come with a good one, but that was
Yeah.
It has a really nice name already.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
Parmesan
Promise
knocked
knock
you
you
out.
out.
You can't beat that.
That's really cool.
Can't beat it.
That's
Join it.
really cool. That's really cool. So we want to thank our guests, or our Sklar.
Yes.
We want to thank Randy. And, of course, I mean, we have the favorite, and now we see why.
know why
Thank you,
now.
Jason, for joining us. Thank you, Seth, for sitting in. We want to thank Nate Abshire for sitting in. Nate is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Correct.
We do want to give you some time to plug whatever it is you would like to plug right
Check
now.
out our podcast. We do two. One, a sports one called View from the Cheap Seats, which is our look at the week in sports. And we've interviewed everyone from, we've had great people on that show. Everyone from Mary Carrillo and Patrick McEnroe to Greg Amsinger, who's the host of MLB Tonight, to Kyle Brand, who's the host of Good Morning Football, and Pete Traeger and Adnan Virk, and athletes like we had Blake Griffin on, and we had Bob Costas on, and Ozzie Smith, and so really good people.
St. Louis.
I know, St. Louis guys. But then also like great comedians who know a lot about sports, and it's great. So we do that one, and then we do Dumb People Town, which is like world's getting dumber. It's the 3 dumbest stories that happen in the world that get passed around. You know the stories that the guy who tried to take a shit off the balcony of his thing and fell like 6 floors into the pool.
Yeah.
Like there's always a story of people trying to do something that they shouldn't be doing and thinking they can get away with it, especially in this day and age where there's never been a time where people are more proud to be dumb. It is our job to fight back with comedy, and so we do that with Dumb People Town. So check out both of those. They're on Starburns Media, but you can just get them on iTunes or wherever you get those. Cool. And go to supersklars.com and see if we're playing live near you.
All right. Where are you guys headed?
So this is what we got. I'm trying to think. This comes out in late November, so we're gonna probably do hopefully, fingers crossed. We have a live Dumb People Town at Largo in Los Angeles on December 2nd.
Largo.
We are gonna, which is a great venue. We are gonna probably do hopefully Amy Mann's Christmas shows that happen at Largo mid-month.
Yes.
You can listen to us as we guest host Jim Rome's radio show right around Christmas. His radio and TV show. I think the 23rd, 24th, 26th, 27th. We'll do that.
Cool.
San Diego at the end of January, Cleveland at the Hilarities
Cleveland
at the beginning.
rocks.
I love that.
Yeah.
At the beginning of February. March will be in Madison, Wisconsin at Phenomenal Comedy Club on State Street. The next weekend we're doing our podcast in Milwaukee at the Turner Hall, down in St. Louis at the Delmar Room, and then back up in Minneapolis. We're doing it. I can't remember where we're doing in Minneapolis, but like 3 cities, boom, boom, boom. We're going to be in Rochester, New York at the beginning of April. Moon Tower Comedy Festival in Austin in end of April. Burlington, Vermont, we've never been. We're going to be there in the middle of May.
Yeah.
And it looks like we've got a 3-date podcast jaunt in June at the beginning, in the middle of June, like the 18th, 19th, 20th. It'll be Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver, or the reverse of that. But just go to supersklars.com. All this stuff will be up there in that section. So there's a lot of travel.
Yeah.
My family's like, what are you doing? But we love it, and it's part of what we do. It's how we make
awesome,
our money.
Man. Hey, that's it. That's how we keep the dividends coming on in.
That's right.
That's why they say Wu-Tang, anything.
As
Cream.
As the Wu-Tang famously said, the same thing that I said, I got a bat mitzvah to pay for.
Cash rules everything around me. Oh my goodness. So we do want to say, we want to thank Randy, we want to thank Jason, we want to thank Nate Abshire, we want to thank Seth for sitting down, the mad scientist himself. You guys have been listening to him. We want to thank Terrell. We want to thank, I call him Terrell, but it's Terrell. That's that church Terrell.
Shells.
We want to thank Shells for passing us the brews, for serving us up. We do want to mention that we had the, I want to get this right, Franz and Connor Hafenweis. It was a Hafenweiser. It is The Origins Are Germany. That's number 21 on the DC Comedy Loft Beer Brand list. We want to thank Vossen Blood Orange Otter out of Richmond, Virginia. That was
So
a Go
good.
Say. That's number 1 on the list. The Stone Palmer Said Knock You Out.
Also good.
Out of Escondido, California. That's number 8. And we want to thank Funky Buddha Manhattan Double Rye out of Oakland Park, California. That's number 4. All these beers you can actually drink here at the DC Comedy Loft / Beer Brand and enjoy yourselves. We want to thank our guests. We want to thank our listeners. Thank you guys for listening. My name is Haywood Turnipseed Jr. You guys actually probably know this voice by now. These shows come out on the 3rd and the 20th of every month. Seth, is there anything that I missed?
Oh, you can find us on comedycraft.msm.fm.
He always has something.
I love it.
And that's how we do this show, and we really do. We thank you guys for listening, and we thank our guests for sitting in, and we appreciate you. As we always want to say, we probably haven't said this yet, peace to you.
Yeah.
It's coming up. Holidays are coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Holidays
Happy
coming up. It's Thanksgiving, right?
And you can catch the Mad Scientist Media production November 7th. We're actually doing Under the Influence, the Mind Melt Comedy Showcase.
Well, this is coming out on November 20th, so that show will have been over.
Be over. So the 21st,
So you
we've
missed
got
it.
the holidays show.
We got the holiday show! Really, check us out, Mad Scientist Media. Check us out on the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Like us, follow us, and then listen to us. Terrell, take us out. Okay, tonight's episode could not be possible without the amazing team behind the scenes at Mad Scientist Media. Brought to you by the DC Comedy Loft. All beers featured in tonight's show are available on tap. You can see an entire list of our upcoming performances at dccomedyloft.com for ticketing information. Big thanks to our guests tonight, Randy and Jason Sklar, a.k.a. the Sklar Brothers. And also our guest, fill-in for Jason, who had to leave us to go hang out with his family, Minnesota's own, Mr. Nate Abshire. This show couldn't be possible without our amazing team. Our producers, T. Lee, Shells, Brandon McGee, James Gagan, and Julia Luchtenfeld. Intro and outro music by John Williams. Our executive producer, the mad scientist himself, Seth Weinstein. Our fantastic chief editor, T. Lee, beer expert and tonight's unbeatable server, Shells. And as always, I'm your host, Haywood Turnipseed Jr. And of course, this show would not be possible without each and every one of you who are tuned in with us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to drop us a rating and let us know what you think. You can catch Comedy Crowd on the 3rd and 20th of every month, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Want more info on the show? Check out our entire catalog of episodes at comedycraft.msm.fm. Have a question for the show? Send us an email, comedycraft@msm.fm. Once again, for our listeners, aka crafters, that make this possible, thanks, guys. You're awesome. This has been a production of the Mad Scientist Media.